5,000-year-old discovery that is forcing archaeologists to rewrite history now on BBC Two. One of the most important finds of the century is revealed in ice mummies.
It was a time before empires, before the pyramids were built in Egypt, before the stones were raised at Stonehenge, and in the cold wilderness of the Alps, a man set out on a journey that would last 5,000 years. In 1991, one of the most extraordinary archaeological discoveries of the 20th century was revealed by melting ice. This is the story of how science has spent the last 5 years trying to unlock its secrets. It all began here in the Alps on the border of Austria and Italy. That summer, freak weather conditions had produced an unusually large melt. High on a mountain pass, 2 hikers had found a body frozen to the rock. Not in itself a surprise.
Ja, es werden eigentlich schon öfters gefunden, weil ja sehr viele Alpinisten verunglückten, die man dann nicht findet, die in den Gletscher eingeschlossen sind, und dann dauert gewöhnlicherweise 40, 50 Jahre, dass der wieder zum Vorschein kommt.
Unaware there was anything special about the body, a team from Innsbruck University tried to remove the corpse from the ice. They hurried because the weather was closing in, but without adequate equipment, the body was badly damaged. Only as the whole find appeared did it begin to dawn on everyone that this was not like other bodies they had found.
Dass es eine normale Gletschermumie, also Gletscherleiche ist, das habe ich mir, das hat man gleich gesehen.
Rumor began to circulate about who the man was, but no one could have guessed the truth. Back at Innsbruck University, news of the mysterious find attracted the media. A beautifully preserved copper axe found with it convinced archaeologist Konrad Spindler that the body was at least 4,000 years old, the oldest frozen mummy ever discovered.
Es war das erste Mal, dass wir überhaupt eine vollständige Ausrüstung aus der jüngeren Steinzeit gefunden haben. Das besonders Wichtige dabei ist, dass dieser Mensch ja nicht in einem Grab lag, nicht bestattet worden ist, sondern mitten aus dem Leben herausgetreten ist und uns entgegengekommen.
But the Iceman was running into trouble. Fungus had started to grow on him, and scientists had to move fast to stop the rot. After thousands of years under a glacier, the Iceman was consigned to a freezer under the university. Spindler was put in charge of the archaeological effort, and the Iceman came to dominate his professional career. Radiocarbon dating proved his initial guess of 4,000 years old was wrong. The mummy was in fact 5,300 years old. This made the copper axe head even more significant, because the Iceman was not meant to have discovered copper for another 1,000 years. Archaeologists had to redate the Copper Age. It was an unbelievably rich find. Besides the body and copper axe, there were leather clothes, flint tools, and shoes stuffed with grass. Perhaps most extraordinary of all, there was a complete quiver full of arrows.
It's not every day that the bowels of the earth just sort of, or the glaciers of the earth just open up and present you with such a wonderful sample. I think we have to take full advantage of it.
All this turned the Iceman into a local celebrity. He was nicknamed Ötzi, and songs were written about him. But celebrity status has its burdens. There were rumors he was a fake, and then that he had been castrated. Things got so bad that Spindler and his colleagues had to carry out a special investigation to confirm the presence of a penis. The politics of his discovery had also turned sour. A mapping team sent to the site discovered the body had not been found in Austria, but 92 meters inside Italy. The Italians wanted their body back. It took months, but eventually the Austrians agreed to hand the body over when preliminary research had been finished. Now, 5 years on, Iceman is still in the freezer at Innsbruck. After all this time, has he lived up to his promise to shed light on a time of darkness?
Hat der Fund zahlreiche neue Forschungen initiiert, sodass wir jetzt ein neues Bild über das Leben des Menschen in den Alpen gewonnen haben. Und insofern hat er das Geschichtsbild über die jüngere Steinzeit wesentlich erweitert.
From the beginning, archaeologists have tried to fit him into a culture they already knew about. Ironically, this led to the same discussion the politicians were having. Did he come from the north or south? Five years ago, researchers noticed his flint artifacts, like this knife, came from a geologically distinct area 120 miles to the south, called the Monte Lessini. Last summer, Professor Spindler led a dig to this area, where he hoped analysis of the flint could pinpoint exactly where the stone was mined.
Es stellte sich dabei heraus, dass dieser Silex verschiedene Arten von Mikrofossilien enthält, die diesem speziellen Silex einen ganz bestimmten Fingerprint geben. Es sind verschiedene Lagerstätten gefunden worden, aber auf dieser Stelle stießen wir dann auch auf ein Bergwerk. Die Untersuchung ergab, dass der Feuerstein hier exakt die gleiche Quantitäten an Mikrofossilien enthielt wie der Feuerstein des Gletschermannes.
All the evidence suggests that Monte Lessini was not only a thriving flint mining area, but also a significant exporter of its product.
In Süddeutschland hat man Feuersteinartefakte aus genau der gleichen Qualität gefunden, bis nah an die Donau heran. Das sind Distanzen zwischen 300 und 400 Kilometer. So weit ist der Feuerstein verhandelt worden und wir gehen davon aus, dass es damals regelrechte Silexhändler gegeben hat. Sie haben dabei auch die Alpen überschritten, nicht?
Surprisingly, trade was so widespread in the Stone Age that the flint cannot be used to identify where he came from. However, there were other clues. The body is kept at -6 degrees and 98% humidity by being wrapped in ice. This hasn't prevented a battery of tests being carried out, and among the first was a complete X-ray survey. His skeleton betrayed a very distinctive lifestyle.
Also all das sind Indizien, dass die Gelenke doch sehr, sehr stark benutzt wurden, dass dieser Mann sehr, sehr viel gegangen ist. Und vielleicht, Horst, kommst du noch hier oben, das ist ja deine Theorie über den Muskelzug am Unterschenkel.
Wobei man diese Ausführungen über die extreme körperliche Belastung unterstrichen findet durch die Querschnittsformen von Schienbein und Wadenbein. Diese ganz typische, eher schmale, spitz oben nach vorne zulaufende Querschnittsform ist ein Indiz, mehr natürlich nicht, für eine lebenslange, schwere körperliche Belastung, die ihrerseits auch Spuren in den knöchernen Strukturen hinterlassen hat.
Und es ist aufgefallen, dass auf der kleinen Zehe an der Grundphalanx hier eine kleine Aufhellung besteht, die an und für sich typisch für sogenannte Frostbeulen ist. Das sind also Folgezustände nach Erfrierungen, wie wir sie bei Bergsteigern und Extrembergsteigern kennen.
The Alps were traditionally thought to be a lonely place in Neolithic times, heavily wooded, hostile to agriculture. Yet here was the body of a man used to the mountains and found high among its peaks. There were tantalizing clues about possible inhabitants, like these picture stones found in the high valleys and covered in Neolithic images. But the trouble is that erosion of the mountains has left archaeologists very little to work with. Of the people who may have wandered into the Alps, their lifestyles didn't seem to leave much of a mark.
Noi abbiamo delle evidenze in ripari sotto roccia trovati che ci dicono che probabilmente allevavano soprattutto capre e pecore e quindi molto probabilmente erano costretti a una vita abbastanza mobile.
But the Iceman vividly shows these people were not reluctant visitors, but specialists in mountain living.
Un altro dato particolarmente importante è anche il fatto che accanto all'Iceman siano stati trovati oggetti in legno, quindi ci conferma un'idea che ci eravamo fatta, che queste comunità fossero abbastanza mobili e che durante i loro viaggi portassero con sé invece di oggetti in ceramica, oggetti in legno perché facilmente trasportabili.
It was ice that preserved all this perishable material. Without that, the Iceman's tribe would have remained a mystery. He didn't belong north or south of the Alps, but in them. Archaeologists returned to the site a year after the body was found. This time they had the proper equipment, and every ounce of the snow was melted. Hundreds of gallons of material were filtered, any drop of which could contain an archaeological treasure. At the Botanical Department in Innsbruck, they are still sorting through the washings 5 years on and have only completed 10% of the task. Yet they have already found new evidence about his life. Among the thousands of fragments of plants, insects and animals, they found a distinctive range of mosses that he could only have picked up while walking in the southern valleys of the Alps. There was more. They found grains of corn as well.
His grain came out from the washing residues from his clothes. They most probably stuck to his clothing, and you can see that they are perfectly preserved. This wheat spikelets derive from einkorn, which is a primitive wheat which was commonly grown during Neolithic within the region. This cultivated species is only separated by threshings, so this is a processed corn.
So the Iceman was probably connected to an agricultural community in a southern valley, and it just so happens there is a good candidate nearby.
In this region, only one major site has been found, and that is where you have the Castle Juval at present, and we are very close to that point now. That site has been populated since the Middle Stone Age and also later during the Iceman's period, the Copper Age.
Castle Juval is only 8 kilometers down a valley south from where the Iceman was found.
I think it came from down here because I don't think there was very much effort to go from here to the place that he was found, because it might be done within a day. And coming from the northern valley in Tyrol, that would take days, because it's about 70-75 kilometers.
Perhaps this was the Iceman's home. Born and bred in the mountains, and with equipment any modern mountaineer would recognize.
Die Ausrüstung des Gletschermannes ist auf eine solche Tätigkeit hervorragend ausgerichtet. Er hatte alle notwendigen Geräte bei sich. Er hatte auch Ersatzmaterialien bei sich, Lederriemen und Sehnenmaterial. Wenn ihm etwas mal kaputt gegangen ist, war er autark, konnte selbst seine Ausrüstung wieder reparieren. Und das ist ja in einer solchen extremen Landschaft für jeden Menschen, auch heute noch, lebensnotwendig.
In 1991, his artifacts were no more than soggy piles of material. Now they have been fully restored. Lightweight, practical mountain gear like his waterproof grass cloak, or his utility belt, full of simple tools. He even had a backpack. These details have given an enormous boost to those trying to reconstruct the past accurately. At this open-air museum in Denmark, they try to recreate Neolithic life for the public, and to them, the Iceman is a godsend.
We have found single arrows and single bows, but we didn't know what bow belonged to what arrow. And here we have not only the bow and the arrows, we have the quiver. That was very special. Here you can, this quiver protects the flights here. We can close it. We have never expected that the Iceman has had such a beautiful construction.
By studying his tools and repeating his techniques, they can even reveal new details about the Iceman himself.
I fix the feather 2 times with a tar and second time with a thread. We have only 2 arrows. The one was a little bit shorter. I believe that it was his arrow, and the other one, the longer one, cannot be his. You see here we have a finished arrow here, and when I do this here with a thread, I can do it only as a right-hand man. I have to open here and then I turn it in that way, so it goes in that way as a spiral around the arrow. But the other one, the longer arrow, is left-hand made. You can see it. This is going up here is going that way. So this arrow was made from a man who is a left-hand man. So this cannot be his arrow. Long ago, in the Neolithic time of the Alps, they have had long bows. They could shoot nearly 180 meters. These arrows can kill bears and wolves. They have found bones, human bones, with arrow points in, flint arrow points in. So it is not only a hunting weapon, it's also a real weapon.
Bedenken Sie nur, dass er allein 18 verschiedene Holzsorten in seiner Ausrüstung mit sich führte. Das heißt, er hat für jedes Gerät, das er benutzt hat, für den Beilgriff, für den Messergriff, für die Pfeilschäfte, das jeweils am besten geeignetste Material herausgesucht. Und das sind eben Kenntnisse, die uns heute verloren gegangen sind.
The ice has preserved evidence of his craft skills on his body. His teeth are worn down from working material like wood and leather. His fingernails tell the same story.